It's the voice of the one and only DJ Scream, letting you know that you are now in tune to the Casual Flex, where culture meets sports and casuals are welcome. Now here's your host, Phillip Dukes.
Yo, welcome to episode 6 of the Casual Flex. I am your host, Phillip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Catch me on Instagram and Twitter at Dukes the Scoop. Make sure you like and subscribe. Like, even if you're just stopping in, like, subscribe. Do it for your boy. You feel me? All right, so let's jump right into it. The Dirty Birds, the Falcons, 3-3, tied for first in the NFC South. If you go back to previous episodes, I said, and I'm standing on it, I feel like the Falcons are a playoff team. And the day they showed it, a big win over the San Francisco 49ers. Actually won the game kind of going away. And you know what? All the 49ers fans that's in Atlanta and all the 49ers fans that's talking about, yeah, we were missing 35 players off our team and we ain't have our mascot and little babies. I mean, all the excuses in the world, man. Don't nobody want to hear none of that, man. None of it. What it is, cap. That's it. Because guess what? I know y'all have people hurt. The Falcons got people hurt. And right now, this is almost, we're getting close to mid-season in the NFL. Everybody is hurt. The Falcons have hurt players, missing both starting. At the end of that game today, the Falcons didn't have either one of their starting cornerbacks, right? So I guess, why not attack the perimeter then? You know what I'm saying? Like, the Falcons don't have their number one running back. The Falcons are literally playing with a quarterback that I'm not going to say nobody else wanted, but he was a backup last year. So kudos to Arthur Smith, Dean Pease. Actually, shout out to Marcus Mariota for getting a handle on some of those weird turnovers that he was having. Shout out to Caleb Huntley for running the ball hard. Shout out to the Falcons as a whole, man. Little baby was out there today. Baby, you got to come back to every game. If they're going to play like that, baby, you got to be out there. Shout out to Baby, number one album in the country. I only got to see the numbers. 23 things of that thing. What they call it? That wham. Straight up. But, yeah, man, really exciting day in Atlanta. As far as the Falcons, how far can they go? I think there is a ceiling as far as where the Falcons can go with the amount of talent on this roster. But like I said before, Arthur Smith and Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator, are getting so much out of talent. Like, you got a guy like Lorenzo Carter, like first round pick out of Georgia a few years ago, went to the Giants. It didn't work out. Had a couple of seasons where he had below 5 sacks and multiple seasons, and comes to Atlanta, gets a fresh start. You got guys who may not have had the type of careers that they wanted to have that are finding themselves in Atlanta. And just to speak on as far as what the Falcons are doing with that level of talent and being able to be 3-3, really should. And honest to goodness, the Falcons should probably be, just to be fair, let's just say 4-2, right? We ain't gonna say they should have won them all. We'll say the Falcons really and truly should be 4-2 and in sole possession of first place in the NFC South. You got to play the game, and a loss is a loss, and you are what your record says you are. But our record, the Falcons' record right now, says they are in first place. A little birdie told me that they made an invite to a couple of them churches, man. So that's probably, remember I told you they got to let the churches come to church. They got to let them churches come have church in the dome. I heard they finna do that. So, the Falcons might be finna get that Super Bowl curse. Yeah, I mean, they might get that curse lifted. But, yeah, man, really exciting day, man, for the Falcons. But, all right, so that's some that's one of the things that was kind of in my world, like, because I'm basically a Southeastern type of guy. In my world, that was something that would make my weekend kind of go well, but something that didn't make my weekend go that well as a Southeastern fan and an Auburn grad. Let's talk about Auburn and Ole Miss. So I actually watched the game on live stream. I just tried something out, man. Just rolled out of the bed. Was like, you know what? So next week, if Auburn has away games, just subscribe to the channel. And if you want to just get in, ask me some questions, even some recruiting type stuff, we can get into that a little bit. But where we are right now with Auburn. So Auburn goes into Ole Miss and gives up 450 yards rushing. You can't beat anybody like that. Almost 500 yards rushing. That means the clock is rolling and you're getting the same type of production that you would get from airing the ball out. So you got a relatively short game outside of the rain delay, but the lightning delay, but a relatively short game, and you're still marching up and down the field. And I think right now the biggest question is Auburn is when. When is the change coming? Like, because at this point, nobody is giving Brian Harsin a vote of confidence. Everybody hears the rumors, but nobody's coming in trying to put a stop to those rumors. The powers that be, President Roberts, anything. All we know is right now is that there is an athletic director interview process going on right now. Everybody seems to think it's going to be John Hartwell from Utah State. You got the guy from UConn interviewing. You got the guy from Georgia Southern interviewing. You also have interim AD Rich McGlynn, who's been a stalwart as far as the compliance portion of what Auburn does, and they say he's really good at what he does. Helped navigate the whole Bruce Pearl situation a couple of years ago. And so this is what I'm hearing. First, I heard that Auburn would not make a decision until the athletic director is hired. Okay. But should a decision be made now? What are the pros and cons of firing Brian Harsin mid-season? So right now you're on the bye week. Pros. Let's go with the pros. What good would come out of firing Brian Harsin? One, you would have some clarity on the situation and kind of just lifting that cloud away. You know, when is it happening? Is it happening? Two, you would be able to have a leader put in place for the remainder of the season. You got Arkansas coming up, right? Right now, you got to imagine how hard it is for Brian Harsin to do his job when everybody around, not even just the players, but the coaches themselves also know that, and basically you don't have one vote of confidence in Auburn right now. You got your job still, but everybody around thinks that you're getting fired, and they're talking about candidates while you're still in the position. So how can you go manage your team? How can you manage your players? And they think that, you know, they already have the preconceived notion that, man, you're basically a lame duck head coach. Thirdly, you could probably salvage some recruiting, right? If you could get to a point where you know who the next coach could possibly be. So you can intrigue maybe some recruits. Like if you can hire a defensive coordinator and announce it earlier in the season, and maybe you could salvage something for December signing day. But outside of that, and you probably make the fan base happy. Right now, this is a very, very unhappy Auburn fan base. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Going into the season, I saw so much support for Harsin, but right now, the support is dwindling. I know for a fact there are a lot of writers in Auburn on the local scene that have kind of been like, you know what, hey, you know what, I'm not going to speak on this because, you know, the guy still has a job. And now, you know, people are just like, hey, man, you got to call a spade, man, you know. And so, yeah. Okay, conversely, what would be the cons? Why wouldn't you want to let Brian Harsin go right now? One, you really only gave the man 2 years. Like, he's got, literally a year and a half. Could it be that good? Could it be that bad of a fit? Like, maybe if he can bring in all his guys and you can see him execute the plan that he has in place, then, or the plan that he wants to put in place. But, you know, in a year and a half, it's hard to do anything anywhere. Especially when you have so much drama that has been around a program. I mean, you got players speaking out against you. You got allegations of coming of like misconduct, just all type of stuff that he had to get through in order to get here. So, yeah, one of the cons would be you didn't really let him get a chance to implement what he really wanted to implement. Another con would be you probably lose some guys that really believe in him. Probably lose some really good players that Auburn does have by letting them go. Thirdly, maybe you lose some commits. Maybe you lose. Maybe it hurts you recruiting. Maybe it's less of a plus or a bonus that he goes away that a lot of people think it would be as far as recruiting goes. Fourth, I think that if you let Brian Harsin go, right, it adds to the whole Auburn is always in some mess narrative. And it's not even a narrative, it's just the truth. Auburn is always in some mess. And then, and it's all, and a lot of times it's negative. And this is another time, firing a coach after a year and a half in the SEC is almost unheard of. And it'll be something that, another black eye as far as on Auburn, and it could be unattractive to attracting other coaches. So, there are some pros and cons to the situation. I think the only person in the world who knows when or if something is going to happen is going to be President Roberts. And from everybody I talk to, I mean, everybody, whether it be a writer, a booster, a staffer, anybody, nobody knows what's going on. So I think the best resolution is to just kind of say something or, let some type of action happen, whatever it is, whether it be a vote of confidence and saying, hey, we're going to ride it out. And that maybe you can beat Arkansas. You'll get them early, right? Home game, they're just trying to get their feet back up under them after a kind of rough stretch. So maybe you surprise Arkansas. They may be ranked by the time they come back. So if you can get everybody together. But as far as the game Sunday, man, real tough to watch. Really happy for Tank Bigsby that he was able to put a really good game together. As far as in a season where he was looked at as one of the top 5 running backs in the country, he really hasn't been able to put that type of film together. So for him to be able to get off and show what he can actually do, I think that's like a plus that came out of Saturday. Jarquez Hunter is just a man. He just it don't matter. It's almost like getting the ball 5 times. There's a 20% chance that he'll go for 20 yards. Like you just know, you keep giving the ball, something good gonna happen. Those numbers might not have been as accurate or as crisp as I would like, but most definitely a ball player. But we'll see. And so the game of the year in college football has already happened so far, and that would be the Tennessee-Alabama game. Some real questionable calls that went against Alabama, and a lot of people on the Alabama side, Crimson Tide fans, feel like the game was taken from them, but it's just how it goes. It's one of those games where you don't want to diminish the efforts of Tennessee by mentioning the referees. So I just thought I would get in front of it. But game of the year, instant classic. Hyatt, 5 touchdowns, huge performance, even with their number 1 receiver being out. Herndon Hooker really put himself in the Heisman conversation, made himself a legend in one night. I mean, he's had an awesome career already. Played well when he was at Virginia Tech, but him being at Tennessee has a really huge impact on what Josh Heupel has been able to implement with his offense. And one of the best offenses in the country. Everybody talks about what Josh Heupel does and how fast they go and how do they get to go so fast. But it's the option routes. It's the ability to make plays based on what's given to you and to be able to think fast, and it allows them to go fast. I do think Alabama has a top to bottom more talented roster than Tennessee. I think Tennessee has a hell of a scheme. I think they do a lot of things well on offense, which allows the defense, to kind of lag back a little bit. And they're going to give up points and they're going to give up yards. But as long as you can be competitive and play that bend but don't break style of football, you'll be able to get the ball back to the offense, and the offense gets the ball. They're expecting to score every time. Really cool seeing Rocky Top just Neyland Stadium, everybody rushing the field. First time they beat Alabama in 15 years. And so the comparison came up that Brian Harsin and Josh Heupel, they got there at the same time. What's the difference? Well, for one, I think when Josh Heupel got to Tennessee, he was more of a fit for what Tennessee needed at the time. So coming from a defensive standpoint, you had Pruitt there, some things that were going wrong, some weird stuff going on with recruiting, some violations happening. And for Heupel to be able to come in, win the portal, he did a really good job in the portal, getting some guys who could help him immediately. Got some guys who had some experience playing, and he hit in the portal. Made decisions when he needed to. So last year, Hooker didn't come into the season as the starter. He developed into that role. He grew into that role, and he's taking firm control of it. A mature guy, has got some help on the offensive line. You lost a lot at Tennessee, so there's some comparisons. There are some valid comparisons to what Auburn, the same situation in Auburn. I just think Heupel may have been a better fit. I think he had more support. I think the offense, like scoring points, always makes people happy. Even if you don't win every game, if you can score points, you know you got a shot. And I think that's been the biggest difference between Harsin and Heupel is Harsin hasn't been able to put points on the board the way Heupel has. And even if you can put points on the board, you know you always got a shot. And I think that with the way, and you would think that with the running backs that Auburn has, that Harsin's offense would work better. But it's really a team effort between the offense and the defense, and they're about the same. You've got 2 to 4 really plus players. So let's look at offense. How many players on Auburn's offense do you think could start at another school? And it's maybe in the SEC. Like where else in the top? Let's say this. How many starters does Auburn have on offense and defense? Let's start with offense. On offense that can start at another school. I'd venture to say maybe 2. I can't think of 2. Another school in the top 6 of the SEC. I think only maybe Hunter and Bigsby. Defense, Hall, and right now, Wooden and maybe DJ James. Yeah, but outside of that, you got 5 players that could play at another top 6 school in the SEC, and that's not going to get the job done. So, and especially the depth. I think Tennessee does have good depth because even with their number 1 wide receiver being out, they were just able to get more players that can do more. And when they were forced into action, they came to play. So, it's a tough comparison, man. Really, kudos to Tennessee. They got it right. And you would hope that either Auburn, whether they retain Harsin or not, that they get it right this time, especially for the fans' sake. All right. What about the argument between Tank and Robbie on the sideline? I mean, you know what? I think you got 2 people that are fired up about football. I think Tank Bigsby is frustrated. He knows what he can do. It's got to be frustrating to see some of those weird turnovers that Ashford has at times. And Ashford is just like, hey, look, man, you guys got to trust me. You guys got to believe in me. If you want me to be the quarterback that this team needs in order to win ball games, I need you guys to trust me and trust my decisions. And I think after that argument, they got better. I think Ashford really asserted himself. After being benched, he came back in really strong. I think he asserted himself, and I think that went a long way from Auburn being competitive in that game because it really, really could have got away from him. So, yeah, that's about all I really would say about that is it quite possibly may have been needed. NBA is this week. The Hawks, opening night on the 19th. I think the Hawks are definitely a playoff team. Are they a top 4 team in the East? I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young and how they play in the backcourt together. I think the toughness of Murray was much needed. I think you needed somebody who could watch Trae's back, somebody that can't get punked, somebody who, like, when Draymond Green comes into town, like, I absolutely don't think that Draymond Green punches DeJounte Murray like that. Absolutely not. He's not playing with him like that. So having that type of guy, especially in the backcourt, having that pit bull who's going to take away your top defender, he's going to defend your top offensive player, especially on the perimeter. Willing to guard 1 through 4. I've seen him in some switch-off situations where he's given power forwards fits just with his strength and his tenacity. So I think he's a major addition to the Hawks. I'm really looking forward to see the dynamic with John Collins and see all of the trade rumors and him not being traded and having to come back to see how he reacclimates himself with the Hawks. So some guys went away. You don't have Gallinari. You don't have Kevin Huerter. You got Bogey. He's going to start injured. So I think they're going to have to lean on the starters. And is this the season that DeAndre Hunter steps up? It's time for Hunter, right? So Cam Reddish is gone. Now it's Hunter's time. He has to be that 3-and-D player that can get you 18 and 8 on a consistent basis. And if he can't do that, and I really would like to say that he is the X factor on the Hawks. If he can give you 18 and 10, we know what everybody else is. We know what Capella is, right? We know what Collins is. We know what Trae Young is. We know what DeJounte Murray is. We don't know about DeAndre Hunter. We're not sure yet. So I think this is the season that he can go ahead and establish himself. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If you get 18 points a game from DeAndre Hunter this year, the Hawks are a top 4 seed in the East. Mark it. Book it. All right. As far as the NFL so far this year, and we're just jumping around, man, just a nice freestyle episode. Isn't this a weird season to see the Giants be 5-1? Wow. The head coach of the Giants, Brian Daboll, man, good gracious, man. Like, what he's been able to do with almost the exact same roster, not a whole lot of huge free agent additions. You bring in Thibodeau out of the draft, and just being able to get those guys ready to run through a wall, to be able to see the resurgence of Saquon Barkley. The Giants are doing a heck of a job, man. The Vikings look really, really good. I think that the Rams are probably my surprise team that doesn't look as good. They've got all of that talent. What's going on? The Super Bowl hangover, I guess. But Cam Akers is probably getting traded. Matt Stafford doesn't look like himself, or he's looking like himself and who he really is. And maybe he was playing out of his mind last year. Who knows? But it's going to be really interesting to see how the Rams bounce back from a tough start. They got a win over Carolina today. And Carolina is a team in shambles right now. You see Robbie Anderson, like, he'll be out of town. He was a Matt Rule guy anyway, one of his players from Temple. So he goes off on the position coach, and then he goes off on him again. And Steve Wilkes, who was formerly the head coach of the Cardinals, who had a very, very, very short tenure there, only 1 year. Wilkes was he found it necessary to kick him off the team, kick him off the field today. And I'd be really surprised if he makes it past the trade deadline as a member of the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, the Braves. It's tough, dog. What do the Braves have to do to get back next year? The Braves got to get some pitching. So we brought Charlie Morton back for his year 39, his 39 season. He'll be 39 years old. Charlie Morton is back. Max Fried gave us a really, really shoddy start to start the playoffs. And, that's not him. That was not a representative of him. And I think he'll be thinking about that all offseason, knowing that he could have started the Braves off on the right foot. So I think that'll impact him. What's up with Soroka? Is Soroka ever coming back? Hopefully Soroka can stay healthy. But I think they were able to get some of those, some of the stopgap players that they had in the rotation and the bullpen may have hurt the Braves this year. The Braves could have easily been a 110-win season, 10-win team this year with some better pitching. And I know that's a huge number in baseball, but dog, the way they hit the long ball, the way they fielded this year in some instances, and the way they bounce back from injuries, I think that the Braves really have a really bright future, but they're going to have to get some pitching. Does Dansby Swanson leave? I don't know. Can Vaughn Grissom play shortstop on a consistent basis? And how much would you lose on defense going from a gold glove type player and Dansby Swanson at shortstop to a born or a bred second baseman in Vaughn Grissom that you would move over? Do you potentially move all-star Ozzie Albies to shortstop, who came up as a shortstop in the minor league? So I think he's a really good athlete. I think he could handle it. I probably would go with Ozzie Albies at shortstop, to be honest. But he's earned his keep at second base. They asked him to move. He moved because they had Dansby Swanson blocking him. So I don't know if that's fair to him. But yeah, I think the Braves have a really bright future. Sad to see them go out of the playoffs so early and not being able to defend their championship in the World Series at least. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. And before I get out of here, so as I'm recording this, the Cowboys are playing right now, and I'm going through my text thread, and one of my cousins is I got a cousin from Franklin, Tennessee. We call him Chip. Shout out to Chip. Chip is the biggest Cowboys fan in the world, right? And he's such a Cowboys fan that it just made me dig a little bit deeper. And I just wanted to know, like, why do I not like the Cowboys? Like, and I feel like it's either the Cowboys are either like a love them or hate them type deal. And it's like, man, like of all the teams, I don't hate the 49ers and they got crazy fans. The Steelers, I don't hate the Steelers and they got crazy fans. Like, I don't hate them. I can't stand the Cowboys. I don't even know why. But so I just kind of dug a little deeper. So I just wanted to put out a list of like why I don't like the Cowboys. Number one, 80% of the Cowboys fans have probably never been to Dallas. Not even been to a game. 80% of them. So it's like you talking to me like I'm a real live Falcons fan. Been Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, to the Dome, to the new Dome. Don't matter. I'm going. 80% of the Cowboys fans ain't never even been. How are you talking to me about something that you never even seen in person? 80% of them. So that's one. Most of them ain't even sniffed Dallas before. Number two, they delusional. Look, the Cowboys haven't won a championship since the 90s. You know how much stuff done happened since the 90s? Bro, we'd have had a black president. Donald Trump was the president, right? Since the 90s? Come on, bro. Like, what? New Edition done broke up and got back together. Like, all type of stuff, dog. Like, so, and then when you talk to one, they have they got the audacity and they got this type of gumption to talk about, yeah, we're a championship winning team. Boy, when y'all was winning championships, man, Boy Meets World was the number one show on TV back then. Like, you feel me? Like, it's been that long, man. It wasn't even on, I mean, flat screen, but we still had the big TVs back then. Like, I mean, it's been a long time, man. People were still playing tapes. That's how long it's been. Michael Jordan done won the championship since y'all have. Michael Jordan of The Last Dance, he won a championship since the Cowboys have. All right, number three. And y'all gonna say I'm hating, I don't even care. I had to get this off my chest. Number three, why I dislike the Cowboys. I'm gonna have to go with they all wear that same little stupid outfit. They all wear the same one. The Cowboys jersey and the Flint Jordan 13s. Every last one of them. I can't stand it. Every time I see that outfit, I throw up a little bit in my mouth. And they think they be so fresh. The Cowboys hat, the Cowboys jersey, the cargo shorts or the Wrangler jeans, and the Flint 13s. I can't stand it, man. It make me don't even want to wear my Flints, man. I can't stand that combination. That's another reason I hate the Cowboys. Or, can't stand them. And I would probably have to say, number four, you see the Cowboys even when they sorry. Man, look. The Cowboys have been playing 500 football between 1997 and 2015. They were like 150 and 150. Look it up. But we saw them all the time. Every Thanksgiving. Don't matter. Like, even when they were super sorry, still had to see them. Like, you see them it's like there's an agenda that's gonna force the Cowboys into it. Like, it's like they took that America's team thing and just roll with it. Like, it's like beyond, like, it's like force. It's some really good teams. They're gonna force the Cowboys down our throat. I ain't going for it. I'll turn it off before I watch it. Unless it's the Falcons. Like, yeah. Unless the Falcons beating them, I don't want to see them. And like tonight, it was good to watch the Cowboys. You know why? Because I knew the Eagles was gonna put that thing on them, and they did. And yeah, I guess my fifth reason for why I don't like the Cowboys, it's just the arrogance, man. It's just man, Cowboys fans really have like this arrogance about themselves. Like, yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. But I don't care. What? Who can? It's like you can be, hey man, hey, where you from? Oh, I'm from San Diego. Oh, okay. I'm a Cowboys fan. Brand ask you nothing about that. Like zero. They are so proud and arrogant of the Cowboys. I can't stand it. So yeah, that's my top 5 reasons why I don't like the Cowboys. And yeah, you got some. Hey man, it is what it is, man. But hey man, that's my time for today. I'm gonna get up out of here. Hey, anything y'all want to see me talk about, hit me up. Let me know. All right, for sure, man. Dukes the Scoop. I'm out.